Hello, I'm Lynda from Scullywag Astrology,
I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology.
and we're Astro Babble, where we babble about astrology. And today we're going to babble about the new moon in Sagittarius.
Well, a very worldly sign to be talking about.
hmm And this new moon will be at 1 degree and 37 minutes of Sagittarius, so right near the very start. And I'm going
And on
to,
the East Coast, it'll happen just about right before 6 o'clock in the evening.
yeah, so we've got the sun and the moon here at 1 degree of Sagittarius, as we were saying, 37 minutes. Yeah, so Venus close-ish to this new moon. Also, Mercury a little bit close, but not super close. Where's Jupiter, which is the ruler of Sagittarius? And it's currently in its own sign in Pisces, and it's actually stationing. It's going to station direct, I think, is it 6 minutes after the new moon? Yeah, I believe it's 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So that will be nice. And new moons are all about new beginnings, planting new seeds, starting new intentions. Yeah. The moon's dark at this time. And yeah.
The moon is a lot better. It's out of fall now. It's in Sagittarius. It was in fall in Scorpio. So in a new
Yeah.
sign, the moon is feeling a lot better. So I would think that we would feel a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. And plus we've just had those two eclipses for the last full moon and the previous new moon. They were a solar and a lunar eclipse. So yeah.
Well, this will be happening in a mutable sign
It will be happening in a mutable sign. So yeah, a little
as
bit of
opposed to the fixed sign. So those people who have those mutable houses that have a lot of planets in them will feel this stronger than they've been feeling the last two lunations with in being in fixed signs. So this is kind of hitting another section of the population.
yeah. Yeah, I think the fixed signs are a bit over it, actually. I mean, not only the eclipses, but we've got Uranus in Taurus and Saturn in Aquarius. So, yeah, I think it's about time the fixed signs had a break.
A chance to breathe for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Okay, this is 19. This still has a little bit of Scorpio flavor because this mansion started in Scorpio. It goes from the end of Scorpio to the first 4 degrees of Sagittarius. So we still have that little bit of Scorpio flavor to it. It's actually in the sting or of the tail of the scorpion. So that's where we are getting this information from. And it is good for sowing seeds or it is good for besieging. And I think because it's in Sagittarius there, it's good for litigation. So
Ah,
it's favorable for litigation as well as journeying. It is not, however, good to journey by the water. So the negative aspects of this moon mansion will be don't leave your stuff with other people to keep it safe. It's not good for depositing anything for safekeeping.
mhm.
It will produce a corrupt bride, according to the old way of saying things. It's bad for a water journey, and you could easily wreck your boat.
Hmm.
So don't start off on a journey at that moon mansion, which will be on the 23rd.
Interesting.
You know, traveling by air, car, walking, should all be fine. Horse, all
Horse.
the other modalities should be fine.
Yeah. I just looking at the last bound of Scorpio, it's Saturn. Whenever I hear, it's not good for ships, I always think Saturn. So it must be that part that's bringing that in. Interesting that this new moon is going to be in the bounds of Jupiter as well. So very Jupiterian. Very nice.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
could be why it's good for litigation.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Jupiter and the law. Well, shall we have a look at doing the horoscopes for this new
Good
moon?
idea. So we'll start it in the first house. And if you're a Sagittarius rising, this is all about what the things that you're changing yourself would be. And this would be new things because it's a new moon. So you're starting out on the projects of what you want to start for things that pertain just to yourself.
Mhm.
You know, you might want to change your hairstyle, but it's the new things that you're thinking about. And you have Venus right there, which is really nice, and
Yeah.
Mercury to help you do any of those processes. I think it's a very nice aspect.
And if you are a Scorpio ascendant, this new moon will be happening in your second house. And the second house is our income, it's our personal finances and resources. It's what sustains us. So, new beginnings to do with matters related to those issues or those topics. You might get a bonus at this time. You might start a savings plan. You might take on a new job or a new side gig. Or you might, purchase or be gifted something that's a useful resource for you in some fashion.
Yeah,
And particularly because this is Jupiter, and Jupiter's a greater benefic, it literally might be something that's gifted to you.
absolutely. And that would be nice.
It would be,
And
wouldn't it?
if Libra is your rising sign, um, or what we call ascendant, this is going to be happening in your third house. So this is going to be new things that happen in your community. You might have a new store that you like is going to open up soon in your community. It also could do with early education as well as extended family, like cousins and aunts and siblings.
Mhm.
Those new
And
things that happen with them.
yeah, yeah. And if you're a Virgo ascendant, this new moon will be happening in your fourth house. The fourth house concerns our parents, our family, our heritage. It's also our living situation, our home, and real estate matters. So it might have nothing to do with you. It might be new beginnings, new starts to do with your parents, or it might be moving into a new place, signing a lease on a new place. It might be, yeah, something to do with that, real estate or a home. Yeah, something similar.
I like all this new energy. And in a Jupiterian sign, a benefic sign, it just feels nicer.
Yeah.
So if you're a Leo, this is going to be happening in your fifth house. And this will have a lot to do with your creativity and the things that you create. This will be a new project, maybe that you've started, a new beautification thing that you're doing. It could even be a hobby that you're starting, as well as children.
Mm-hmm. And if you are a Cancer ascendant, this new moon is happening in your sixth house. The sixth house is the house of illness. It's also the house of service. So it could relate to people that are of service in our community, whether that's doctors, nurses, police officers, firefighters, community volunteers, charity, that sort of thing. Yeah, so it could be new beginnings to do with those issues. It's also the house of our pets. So it could have something to do with pets. It could be a new pet. It could be, a new pet is going to obedience school. It could be somebody's graduating as a nurse, a doctor, a firefighter, something similar. New beginnings, or maybe they're just starting their training.
I need to take my cat in for actually my daughter, who would be the Cancer rising. Should take her cat in. Yeah, so to the vet for an annual checkup, and that's how that works. It's funny how that works.
Mm,
Anyway, Gemini, if you are a Gemini rising, this is going to happen in your house of the other, or in the seventh house, and this might be new things that are happening with your spouse, your significant other, or starting new things like with one other person. If you've been trying to get with one person to get something accomplished, this would be the aspect that to do it under, because it's a benefic and Venus is there. And
yeah.
I would think that it's, even though it's opposing the retrograde Mars.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
It's still a good aspect. There's a lot of benefics that are in that.
yeah. And just looking too, I mean, we've got the Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mercury in Sag. We got Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces.
Hmm.
We've got Mars in Gemini. We've got a lot of planets now in those mutable signs, like you were saying earlier. There's that adaptability and, ability to kind of roll with the punches a little bit more. So interesting.
Yeah, it'll be different air for sure
Yeah,
after all that fixed stuff.
yeah. And if you are a Taurus ascendant, this new moon is happening in your eighth house. And the eighth house relates to other people's money. So this can be debts and loans, it can be taxes, it can be inheritances, it could be financial agreements. It can be your partner's money, whether that's a business partner or a romantic partner. This could be, your starting a joint account with somebody, or you're applying for a loan, but yeah, maybe you're kind of starting something. Maybe you've just learned that you've come into an inheritance, something similar to that.
Yeah. Or your spouse or significant other might have gotten a bit of
Yeah,
money.
yeah, because it can be the spouse's money, because it's the second house from the seventh, and the seventh is, amongst other things, your partner.
Exactly. And if you are an Aries rising, this is going to happen in your ninth house. And the ninth house is publishing litigation. So this would be really good if you are an Aries rising. If you have litigation that you need to have done, this would be a good time to start that. It has also to do with the higher education and learning. So, or the esoteric subjects of astrology.
Mhm.
So if you
Yeah,
are interested in learning astrology, this would be a great aspect to start that on.
yeah. And if you are a Pisces ascendant, this new moon is happening in your 10th house. This is a very visible house. So you might be starting something that's going to bring you some sort of reward or honor, or maybe just more visibility. It could be something to do with your work, because it's also quite often related to career. So it could be a new boss, because it's also authorities. So new boss, new job, new kind of position at work. Or maybe you're starting something that, it could be something like you are involved with theatrics in your community, and you've just, got a new role as, the lead in some play or something. Mind you, that could be fifth
Very
house too,
nice.
because it's also plays and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, but for whatever reason,
10th house is recognition. So
true, true.
all that hard work on maybe opening a play. Um, and if Aquarius is your rising sign, then this is going to be happening in your 10th house or 11th house. Sorry. This seems to be beneficial. Saturn, this would be good, I would think, for the things that you need structure to do, but to start them for sure. Saturn is that provides that stability. So you have that, which is good in the in your first house. And this will be happening in the 11th house of groups, friends, associates. So I think it's a great aspect for doing the new ideas that you might have around groups.
Yeah,
Hopes and dreams, you can start them too.
yeah,
It's got the benefic there, so Venus is always nice to have around.
it really is, isn't it? And if you are a Capricorn ascendant, this new moon is happening in your 12th house. And the 12th house is our undoing. So it's quite often related to things like addictions, or secret illnesses, or hidden illnesses. It's also escapism, or it could be places of confinement like hospitals, prisons, monasteries, or places of retreat. Maybe you're, taking a step back and, concentrating on something, working behind the scenes. Yeah, with Venus there, could be, maybe you're starting a new relationship, but you're keeping it a little bit quiet for the
Mhm.
moment. Yeah. With Mercury there, you could be, taking time out to do some writing or something similar. And do you have a stone for us, Donna?
I do. The stone I have brought is a ruby. So it can be in jewelry.
Hmm.
It's red, red, red. So I mean like really red, red, red. But these are more of the not gemmy qualities, but they are great for their energy that they do provide. This is a ruby. They all kind of look purple.
Mm.
Um, this is a ruby that doesn't have the matrix on it. This These ones are kind of like in the matrix. There's little bits of ruby in there.
Oh,
This is a
okay.
corundum. This is known as a corundum. Um, this is also a ruby, but it's in that matrix. This is not gemmy at all. So, but it does have its uses. This one particular, and I don't know if I'll be able to show you. Well, they have triangles on them, and
Okay.
those are called record keepers. And I will, when I do my blog, I will try my very, very best to you might be able to see them that way. Oh yeah, you can.
Hmm.
You can see that they're triangles in here, and those are called the Akashic records.
Oh, I've
When you
heard of
meditate with
those.
a ruby, this okay, I'll tell you just a little bit about the ruby. The ruby is it goes with the root chakra, so it grounds you. Okay, this is a grounding protection kind of a stone. I'm trying to show you those Akashic records
Hmm.
because those are kind of cool. And this is naturally forming. So this stone has not been polished at all. Um, it's a it's a variety of corundum, which is in the same family as sapphires. And I have another one. Hopefully I will do it justice. This is a blend of sapphire and ruby. So this is a sapphire ruby, and
Nice.
it's kind of a real purpley color, and it's really very interesting to see it in person. I will try to photograph that nicely. It has a Mohs hardness of a 9, so it's very, very hard. It relates, and it's the same family as sapphires, and it's got that Mohs hardness of 9. It's the corundum. It's got the trigonal crystal system. The chromium is what gives it the red color. It's associated with the earth element. It is found in Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, India, Brazil, and USA from this Book of Stones. And the Book of Stones also says that it is good for the leadership qualities. And I wonder if that isn't why they had a lot of the leaders like kings, queens. I think ruby was um one of the crystals in Aaron's breastplate. If you look at Aaron's breastplate from the Bible, it has a square grid, and they mention that corundum is one of them, and I would believe that it would be sapphires, rubies that would be
Nice.
in that. So this is a very interesting stone. It goes back a lot of years. It has a lot of history, um, a lot of energy for leadership qualities. It helps you with fierceness. I use it for yeah, I use it for gaining your own, just gaining your own muster to forge on. So that's how I use it in layouts.
Hmm. When you were talking about
This
that,
is this is this is a this is a um obviously not a gem quality, but it's full of Akashic records from like here to there. This is a stone that I meditate with. You can see a little bit of ruby right there. That
mhm,
might be a more of the gemmy quality.
uh-huh.
So yeah, this is one of my first stones that I started meditating with, because you meditate and you make a connection with these Akashic records, and you can,
Nice.
yeah.
I'm just thinking when you were talking about royalty and that, and I'm trying to think, I don't know if it's rubies or something else, you might know. Like, didn't they used to use one to try and kind of prevent poisoning or something? Was that ruby?
Oh, I don't know.
Hmm.
I know amethyst is one that they stop for to not get drunk.
I remember that.
But I do know that ruby, if you wear it on your left hand, if you don't want to have conflicts with people, wear a ruby on your left hand.
Nice. Nice.
So that kind of it gives you those little bit of
Protection.
inner, I've got my own energy to help, in the situation. It gives you that inner, that, you're wearing it and you know why you're wearing it, and you'll be amazed that if you thought you were going to have a conflict and it just doesn't appear that way. A lot of times I would think when I have worn it specifically so I don't get into a conflict with somebody that I might possibly get into a conflict, if I wear that, this is fine.
Oh,
It doesn't happen
good to know.
for me. So I
Yeah.
don't know, is it my, premonition? Is it anything that I'm attempting to not have happen? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to work. And it's good for the root chakra. Gives you that fortification, that sturdiness.
Nice. Very nice.
And chromium is what gives it that red color.
Okay. And you will be writing an article, you said, and we'll put a link to that in
We'll
the
be writing
description.
I will. And yeah.
Excellent. Well, shall we go back and have a look at the chart and the upcoming aspects?
It's good to know the upcoming aspects. Depending on how this hits your chart, this could help you even more. But even if you're not, and on the mundane level, at least you'll know when the aspects and the favorable planets are aspecting other planets in a nice way. If they're aspecting the planets with a hard aspect, it could be a little bit more difficult. But knowing these things in advance lets you know exactly what these aspects are all going to do. So,
and if you know your natal chart too, if you can see or follow on the screen what degree they're at, we don't usually say what degree they're at, maybe we should. But if you know, for example, that you've got a planet at, say, 21 Gemini, which is where Mars will be on the 23rd of November, you might be like, oh, okay, well, that's something to watch out for. So, yeah.
yes. Like if you have a Mars or your moon there, that's going to be impactful. If you have Venus there, it's going to be impactful still, or even Jupiter. It's, natally.
Yeah.
It definitely, when those planets hit your planets, you feel it. You can pick up exactly how it's hitting you and how it's what it's affecting in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very helpful.
And our first aspect happens, it's just 6 minutes after this new moon, and that's the ruler of this new moon. Jupiter will be stationing direct because it's been retrograde since, I think you said, the end of June or July.
July 28th, it went retrograde. So we've been living with a not functioning well Jupiter for a lot of months.
Yeah,
since the end of
4
July.
months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get Jupiter behaving again and going in forward motion. It's in its sign. It's in a sign that it rules, so it's quite powerful there. It will be moving quite slowly initially. It appears to be at a standstill when it stations because it's changing direction. But particularly wherever Pisces is in your chart, things might start picking up a little bit now, because when Jupiter's retrograde, sometimes the optimism or enthusiasm for topics associated with that house can kind of be a little bit not as good as it could be. So if you've been a little bit discouraged, maybe during these past 4 months, you will have, had time to contemplate and think about it. And yeah, maybe you've come up with a better plan of attack.
Right. And it's still going to be trining that full moon or the new moon. So yeah, it's going to be nice to have that Jupiter finally going in a forward direction.
Yeah.
At least for a couple of days, because at 28 degrees, we don't have a lot of time. So make plans fast.
Yeah. Well, I believe it will remain in Pisces, I think, up until about the 20th of December. Yeah, so we'll have Jupiter in Pisces up until the 20th of December. After that, it will ingress into Aries. So yeah, what have we got? Just under a month to enjoy the last of Jupiter in Pisces until another 12 years. So
then Jupiter is going to be far away from its home signs of Sagittarius and Pisces.
Yeah. So that will be interesting. But, if you got planets in Aries, that could be good luck. Good luck coming your way. So.
Absolutely. Yes. No matter where Jupiter is on the chart, it is nice.
Yeah. But, it's extra powerful in a sign that rules. So, yeah. And because it's just station direct, it's moving very slowly. So I don't know how quickly it would have moved 2 degrees usually, but because it's just station direct, we've got that extra time. We've got not quite a month to enjoy.
I think when it whipped right into Pisces earlier, it was only in Pisces for 4 months before it hit Aries, so it can move very fast.
Yeah, when it wants to.
Well, for an outer planet, it's moved very fast. I guess that's a relative statement. And then the next aspect we have is going to be Mars trining Saturn. It's an aspect I would definitely approach with caution. It's both of the malefics, and a ton of bad things could happen. That being said, we have free will, and we can use that Mars to have a driving force, even though it is retrograde. But Saturn offers that stability. So if you are trying to build a project, it could have some good stability. It might, the process of it, with that Mars in Gemini, because Gemini is the processes of things, or Mercury is, but it's run by Mercury. Gemini is. It might go faster than you wanted. Things might go faster than you had anticipated. Things might go slower than you had anticipated. Mars is going to be the unpredictable thing in this project that you're trying to do, because Mars has everything to do with frustration and severing and heat. So be careful around those things. I wouldn't take the risks if you are building something. Make sure you're wearing the proper safety equipment, and keep your mind focused on that. I was going to say that Mars is almost opposing Mercury. So Mercury is definitely going to have its finger kind of in there of, hopefully with the Mars or the Mercury next to Venus, might give that benefic of, hey, wait a second, put on those sturdy gloves so that you're not catching your fingers on burrs and splinters or whatever. But it does require some caution with this aspect, but it also could be some drive if you are working it right.
Yeah, this Saturn's strong. It's in the superior position, so it definitely has the upper hand. But yeah, that Mars is retrograde, and it's also out of bounds, so it's acting extra erratic. Yeah, I think this could be good for hard physical work, having to do something with a lot of energy. I think it's just going to take a lot longer than you expect, though. With Mars retrograde, you're going to have to, if you think it's going to take an hour, it's going to take 3. Also, its ruler, as Donna said, it's going to be opposing Mars at the time. Mercury will be coming up to oppose Mars, and that Mercury is in Sag, so it's in a sign of its detriment. Mercury is making a sextile or coming up to sextile Saturn at the time. So Saturn might have his hands full trying to keep those two on the straight and narrow, perhaps. But yeah, I think this could be good constructive use of energy, but it's probably going to take a lot longer than you expect. And with that Mercury coming up to oppose it in detriment, maybe plans weren't quite right. The finer detail wasn't attended to. So, you forgot that you needed this, and it necessitates you kind of undoing all the work you've done and redoing it or something similar.
Definitely a day to make sure that you've crossed all your T's, dotted all your I's, made sure everything was as good as you can get it.
Yeah.
Before you even start with a project.
Yes. It could be a bit of swearing involved.
For sure.
Yeah, and then the next day, Mercury is going to oppose retrograde Mars, and Mercury is the ruler of where Mars is at the moment, because Mars is in Gemini. Unfortunately, Mercury's in detriment because it's in Sagittarius. It's all thinking about the big picture instead of, all the finer details that need to be attended to, and that Mars is retrograde and out of bounds. Actually, oh my, I see that Mercury's also out of bounds too, so that's interesting.
So they're both out of bounds and being bad together. Yeah, because you were just saying that you were having trouble with your Mercury and wondering if Mercury was acting weird. And I think that it is because it is opposing Mars, who is retrograde, and Mercury has to deal with Mercury has to accommodate and try to get Mars the things that it wants. It's its guest. So and Mars is like, or Mercury is like, it's like having 20 kindergartners in your house. You can only do so much. Everything is running amok.
Total anarchy, I think we call that. Yes.
Anarchy. Well, that could be it. But yeah, but that would explain why those mercurial things seem to be happening.
Yeah. We had some drama here. We had 3 or 4 starts for this one. Yeah, we'll have to check and see if Mercury's actually out of bounds when we're recording this. And for anybody that doesn't know what an out of bound planet is, it's a planet like planets travel along the ecliptic, and when they're kind of quite above, maybe even below the normal kind of band where planets usually travel within, they're said to be out of bounds, and there's kind of a maverick, maybe an anarchist. I'd say more maverick, though. They just, they're just a little bit odd and acting of their own accord. So,
according to the chart here, you got Mercury, which is 24 degrees below the ecliptic, and Mars is 24 degrees above the ecliptic. So they're and the ecliptic is more a belt where all the planets are supposed to, think of it as a road where all the planets are normally supposed to travel around the Earth. Well, if they're off the road, that's out of bounds.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. They are off road.
They're rally driving. It's really interesting, though, because it's 24 degrees 56 minutes for both of them.
Yes. Well, they're both opposing.
I suppose they're opposed, so they should be. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would explain that.
It would, yeah. So interesting. Yeah. So that could be interesting, but Mars opposed Mercury in general can be harsh words spoken in anger. With Mars retrograde could be perhaps old feuds kind of reignited, as in like, you know, person's always giving you drama, or, you know, there was this big fight, you know, 3 years ago and they're back on the scene and causing drama perhaps. Yeah, just a tense time. Mercury is moving pretty fast, so it will kind of zip past Mars quite quickly, so that's one blessing. And
Right.
Mars is going the
The
other
aspect's
way,
not going to
so
last
they're
that long.
both they're both moving away, so that's something.
Yeah. They're moving. They were coming together, and then they're both moving away just as fast as they were coming together. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, very nice. Very nice. Now we know how to handle that. Yeah, this Mercury opposing Mars could also be not thinking, so acting or
Mm,
speaking before you think about what it is. So
yeah.
run that tongue in front of your brain before you
Or what is it
spit
my
it
mum
out.
used to say? Put your mind into gear before you put your mouth into motion.
This would be the aspect she's warning you about. Yep, exactly. Put the mind into gear. I mean, that's a Mercury.
Yeah.
And then we have Mercury is going to sextile Saturn, which isn't as hard of an aspect. It's considered one of the nice aspects, but it does provide flow, and it does provide easy energy to transpire between those two planets. So, Saturn is the greater malefic. So it would, especially if you were born at night, this is going to be a harder aspect to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, Mercury's in the superior position here because it's earlier in zodiacal order, because Sagittarius is earlier than Aquarius. And it is in detriment because it's ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter's big thinking, whereas Mercury's concerned with, drilling down to the details. I would like to think that Saturn is strong enough to kind of lend some stability, hopefully, but, Mercury's moving fast, which is actually a good thing, but he's in detriment and he's out of bounds. And is he a he?
And still under the beams.
Oh, good point. Yes. Good point. I'm trying to think if it's male, masculine, if it's rising after the sun. I can't remember. If they rise before the sun, I think they're considered masculine. So I think I misgendered this Mercury. Mind you, Mercury, it's neither masculine or feminine. It's both masculine and feminine. It's not malefic. It's not benefic. It's either, neither. It's traveling with Venus. So I would say, well, I wonder what would happen there, because I mean, it's traveling with Venus. So you would think it would be gaining some benefit from being with benefic, but it's at this time closely sextiling, well, exactly sextiling Saturn. So maybe Saturn is kind of, but it's a strong Saturn. So there's that stability. So will be interesting to see. Yeah, maybe thinking will be a little bit slower. Maybe thinking will be a little bit more conservative, but in a good way. Not in a negative, pessimistic, old fuddy-duddy, just kind of, maybe it's back to basics. Maybe it's, come down to earth. I don't know.
I think it's really hard to call on exactly how this is going to all happen, because it's Mercury is still opposing that Mars.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's
you still have that energy you're still dealing with. It's still hanging on.
And then, just to make things interesting, you kind of got that kind of whitish square to Neptune, and Neptune's all about fogginess. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be scheduling something that's super important to get exactly detail orientated right at this time.
It's still considered a nice aspect. A sextile is a nice aspect.
Hmm.
Um, and between Mercury and Saturn, that's not a, I mean, those aren't together bad planets. They're more they're work. I'm seeing work. I'm seeing yeah, that hard work that you need to do with Saturn and Mercury with that process.
I think that Saturn will help Mercury be a little less flighty, but yeah, Mercury's kind of prone to peer pressure. Whoever he's hanging out with will kind of exert the most influence. And I mean, he's being opposed by Mars, sextile to Saturn, but he's kind of hanging out with Venus, so maybe that will kind of temper it a little bit too. Maybe that will because it's in Sagittarius, and I always think of Sag, they're very good at putting their foot in their mouth. You know, that's going to kind of hopefully, you know, make that a little less prone to upsetting others. So yeah, we'll see. It will be an interesting day for sure.
Yes, for sure. And then the next aspect we have is going to happen on December 1st.
Yeah, can you believe that? 1st of December.
And the year has already almost gone. And so that aspect is going to be Venus opposing Mars,
Hmm.
which these are the celestial pair.
Hmm.
You need that pair that
Yeah.
the love and the drive, to make those, fantastic pairs. However, Mars is retrograde. Venus is under the beams, so
Yeah.
she's not feeling, you know, as spiffy as she would like to be feeling. This could be power struggles. Venus and Mars, yeah, could be power struggles. It could be just not getting along with your significant other.
Yeah, it could be sexual tension. It could be, you know, maybe just you're feeling, how would you put it? Venus is all about kind of bringing people together and harmony. It's a warm, moist planet.
Venus.
And Mars is a hot, dry planet. So it's about separation and severing and that. So, you know, Mars is out of bounds. Mars is retrograde. It's, you know, ruled by Mercury, who is hanging out with Venus. But yeah, Venus isn't awfully strong. She's got no essential dignity. She's actually peregrine. So yeah, it might be maybe relationships are just a little bit tense. You kind of like, not that there's necessarily anything bad or long term or anything, but you know, maybe, you know, whoever you're into is just kind of rubbing you the wrong way. Actually, that sounds a bit weird.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Venus is more on the cool, moist, and Mars would be that hot and dry. So that's why they clash. They're that
Mm.
that opposite
Yeah,
temperament,
you know, maybe Mars is coming on too strong, and you know, it's just Venus is, you know, she's under the beam. She's got enough stress. Just leave her alone. Yeah. So maybe relationships are just a little bit awkward, or kind of like you kind of can't sync up correctly with a partner sort of thing, or and it might not be to do with relationships. It might have to do with beauty or art or values or anything like that. But whatever it is, you know, it just kind of everything's just kind of like just not right. It's kind of like you zig and they zag, and you know, it's just uncomfortable.
a little off step.
Yeah.
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 The next aspect is Mercury is squaring Neptune.
Oh, there's a lot of Mercury going on, isn't there?
There is that a lot of Mercury going on opposing that Mars.
Yeah.
I would like Mercury to almost to be anywhere other than opposing Mars. I know they're separating, but still.
Yeah. But I mean, like Mercury square Neptune, I mean, Neptune can be idealistic and altruistic and spiritual and self-sacrificing, but you know what? It's also deception. So be careful what you hear. You know, I wouldn't necessarily, if it seems untrue, it probably is untrue.
And Neptune at this point is retrograde, so it's not acting the way it normally should. So Mercury just seems to be running into a whole bunch of planets that just are walking their own path and dancing to their own beats. And Mercury is like, how is this supposed to be working?
I'm just looking because if you're watching on YouTube, we've got the little section with the planets, and down in the, what is it, bottom left-hand corner, we've got the planets and, you know, their speed and their last, you know, when they last stationed retrograde and when they're next going to station retrograde. But there's a declination. And if you look there, when they're pink, that means that they're out of bounds. And I see that Venus has decided that she's going to be out of bounds too. So it's just like, yes, just Mercury, Venus, and Mars just doing what the hell they want. So
And that reference to that kindergarten class where everybody's moving in their own direction. It's coming back. Yep.
yeah, so yeah, Mercury squaring Neptune's not going to help matters either. I just think, you know, thinking may be foggy, unclear. Like I said, there could be deceptive communications, or it could be, well, no, with a square, I wouldn't expect so much. Well, I suppose it could be an action that kind of drives you. If you had some idealized idea, but I mean, like this Mercury, it's out of bounds, it's in detriment. It looks like it might be just coming out from under the beams at this time, though. Not quite, but it's getting very close to coming out from under the beams. So, because when a planet's within 15 degrees of the sun, it's kind of overshadowed by the sun. So, yeah, this could be, yeah, this Mercury is a bit of a troublemaker, I think.
Yeah, just just a bit. Just a bit. Yeah. I would say for now, I wouldn't I'd be watching, you know, what you're talking about, making sure you know where your boundaries are. Make sure you're clear
Yeah.
with the Neptune. The Neptune is about to station, so we can cross our fingers for that aspect. But you know, just before you sign contracts and stuff, I would make sure that you reread them and read them again.
Yeah, most definitely.
So the next aspect will be Venus sextiling Saturn. Let's see. Venus is still out of bounds. She's off the elliptical road. And you know, Saturn's in its own sign. So and it is a nice aspect. The sextile is a nice aspect. It is, you know, it means, you know, good things could happen with the Saturn aspect in there, you know, offering stability. This could be a good aspect to, you know, do those what you're obligated to do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think
Doesn't mean that it's going to be bad. It's that obligation more of a type of aspect with a sextile to Saturn, because Saturn is Saturn is not the party.
No.
Saturn is the, you know, is more of the ceremony, you know, the let's get it done, follow rules, make sure everything is as it should be. You know, Saturn, especially Saturn in that fixed sign.
I think yeah, Venus, Saturn with the trine or a sextile, I always think that that's the comfort of, you know, relationships, whether that's romantic or friends or family or whatever. Yeah, and I mean, Venus is still under the beams. She is out of bounds. We've just had, Mercury opposing Mars, so there could have been harsh words. There's Mercury square Neptune, so there's confusion, maybe even deception. There's a lot going on around all this, and it's, maybe a confusing time. Maybe, sometimes when things are all topsy-turvy, it's then that you really appreciate something that you might have thought was kind of a bit boring. And it's kind of like, sometimes boring is good, yeah.
At
I'm
least it's
showing my
predictable.
I'm showing my Saturn bias. But
At least it's predictable, which is nice. Saturn can be predictable.
Yeah, this is not the stiletto, this is the slipper, or the, what would you call it, bedroom slipper. I don't know what you call it over there. What do you call slippers?
We do call them slippers.
Okay, just checking.
And so the next aspect we have happening on December 3rd, Neptune's going to go direct. And so it's stationing. Now, stationing means that there's an extra emphasis on that one point where that planet is. Being in Pisces, and it is still it's squaring, yeah, it's squaring Venus still.
Yeah,
I like this. I think it would be a good day to grab your stone and try to get some information from what the energies of the stones are trying to tell you. This would be a good day for those esoteric subjects. With Neptune and Pisces, you got to take it. I would definitely try the meditation, the sitting with it, sitting in quiet with Neptune in Pisces. It's just so lends itself to the esoteric subjects.
Yeah. If you've got planets at 22 or close to 22 degrees of Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, natal planets or natal points like your ascendant or MC, this might actually be good news because, it's stationing. It's going to be staying there for a little while, because it's a slow planet anyway. But when it stations, it, appears to come to a stop. So it will hover around there, but then it's going to move on. It's going to move on slowly. But if you've had confusion and just kind of like, yeah, with Neptune, it's like, what am I not seeing? It's fogginess, and it can be lovely. It can be very romantic and very glamorous, or it can be very deceptive. It's whatever planet or aspect that's been hovering around and perhaps causing, either rose-colored glasses or just, general mayhem, that's going to move on. I was just having a look. It's going to move on. It won't station again until about the 27th of Pisces. So I think it only goes back 2 or 3 degrees when it does retrograde. So hopefully this might be the last time that it hits you if you've got planets at around about 22 of those signs.
But if you've been in a fog and you have a 22-degree planet that's in, those mutable signs, this might give you some relief. This might give you some clarity.
Yeah. I mean, not immediately, because it will be still hovering and it's going to be very still there. So it'd be kind of really overemphasized. But yeah, relief is coming or clarity is coming, hopefully.
Yes. If you've been bothered by it and you've got a planet on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like if you got a planet at 22 Taurus or say Capricorn, maybe it's been a fun time, and it depends what house it's in and all that sort of stuff too. But yeah, wherever, Pisces is in your chart, there might be a little bit more confusion briefly while it's stationing. It's slowed down, even if you don't have planets there. But it's happening in Pisces, so there might be a little bit more fogginess in general to do with topics to do with that house.
Clarity's on the way.
Well, that's what we
Hopefully.
hope.
Yes. And then the next aspect is going to be that Venus is going to square Neptune. So
Yeah.
after it has stationed, well, it's still stationing, but it's close, and Venus is still under the beams. So she's not going to be able to lend that positivity. But Jupiter sitting right next to it in orb is definitely going to lend that positivity to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Venus square Neptune, it's very easy to get carried away with ideas of romantic love, or, just wearing rose-colored glasses. I think if it's a wonderfully romantic time, enjoy it, but there's real life to contend with afterwards,
For sure. Yeah, because Neptune does have that quality of obscuring
That's a good word for it. Yeah.
your thoughts. So, and as long as it's stationing, it's going to act more like its normal self. And if obscure is its function,
Yeah.
that could definitely be expected.
I mean, Venus is moving pretty fast at the time, and because Neptune, not that it moves fast anyway, but it's at a dead stop, so she'll move past him pretty quickly. So
Quickly.
yeah, it could be just a fun time, stars in your eyes, or it could be disillusionment. So, I mean, that Venus under the beams, she might not feel seen or heard or appreciated. So
Yeah. And with Jupiter right there, it could make these things bigger than,
yeah.
So it could be bigger disillusionment. It could be,
Yeah. And I mean,
bigger
because
obscurity.
that Venus is out of bounds. Yeah, maybe she's out of bounds. She's under the beams. Yeah, maybe it will be an overreaction, like you said. They've got that Jupiter in there amping things up, or what's the word? Expanding it. Yeah. And she's not. Is she still Peregrine? Yeah, she's still Peregrine. Yeah, she's
out of bounds.
Yeah, she's not in a good place.
Yeah, so the next aspect was going to be Mercury square Jupiter. Oh, so there's the big talk. There's the big language, the big ideas, or even the big project to do. Mercury is that one who schedules all those projects. This is the process. We need to do this, and that. And squaring Jupiter is going to cause action.
Yeah.
And Jupiter is that, the bigger, the expansive type of energy with that.
Mercury square Jupiter, yeah, big ideas, but often kind of biting off more than you can chew, kind of, a bit too grandiose with those ideas, perhaps. Mercury out of bounds, but Jupiter does rule this Mercury, so he's willing to listen to the harebrained ideas. So actually, it could be a fun time in some ways, or perhaps not. But yeah, it will be interesting to see. Perhaps at the time we're more willing to dream big in that, and perhaps that will come at a cost, but perhaps we don't care. I don't know.
Mercury will be out from under the beams here. Still a cross by sign from, that the lunatic Mars. But it will be away from that sun. So it will have more agency. And it's still in detriment. So
yeah. But that's a good point about it being out from under the sun. So it's kind of like I'm here, you can see me again. Yeah, it's ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter feels kind of, well, Jupiter's benefic, but Jupiter's feeling like, it's a guest and it's home, it should look after it. Yeah, I think maybe this will be actually a positive manifestation of it, even though it's a square. Maybe, all that time under the beams, it's been formulating ideas, big grand plans, and yeah, who knows? Maybe it will be positive. I hope so.
Yeah, you would wonder what it has to say because it's got a message. It's after a Kazemi with the sun. It's coming out to say or do something to change, to
Mm.
change the direction and nudge society over this way or that way. And yeah, that's what it's. Well, I'll be curious to see what the voice it has.
Yeah, that will be interesting. And it will be so close to I think it's the next day. Oh no, it's later that day that it moves into Capricorn. So yeah, this is its last hurrah of the big grand plans before it goes into, a more somber Capricorn sign ruled by Saturn. So
I think yeah, it'll be nice when Mercury goes into Capricorn because it's going to feel better. It's not going to have the Jupiterian support, but it's definitely not going to be in detriment anymore. So
yeah,
it's going to have a
that's
lot more
a boost.
agency than what it had.
Yeah, it's a shame that Saturn's going to be in Aquarius, so it can't kind of see it and kind of can't offer it any real assistance. But yeah, at least it won't be in detriment.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Right.
pragmatic, dependable, reliable thinking. It's I mean, Capricorn's a cardinal sign, so it's initiating. It's earthy, so it's likes tangible results. And what am I missing here? Cardinal Earth. Oh, ruled by Saturn. Yes. Good old Saturn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Saturn's going to give it some stability, a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's out from under the beams.
Yeah.
It's still within orb of Venus
Yeah.
and Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
You will have a little bit a positive spin on that. Finally, Mercury in a positive light would be nice.
Wherever Capricorn is in your chart, people or topics associated with that house, you might be thinking or communicating with them more. Um, I'm just looking at the date, 6th of December. Maybe this is a good time to just, head down, bum up, and, get all those things done that you need so that you can enjoy the holiday break if you have a holiday break coming up, or, get things all kind of sorted before, parties and all that sort of stuff. I think that would be constructive use of this time. Mind you, Mercury's still out of bounds, so it might have other plans.
But more communicative. Mercury will be more communicative.
Because it's cardinal, or because it's
It's out of
outside
the
of them.
bounds and it's not in detriment.
And
And
then,
it's aspecting Jupiter, still in orb of Venus.
yeah.
I'm thinking it's a positive aspect, all in all.
Oh yeah, I think it can be quite constructive. Like we said,
A good word.
it's not in detriment anymore. Yeah, it's kind of, taking care of business, which, need to do that sometimes. Mind you, it's out of bounds. I think it's going to find a way to have fun too. So, I hope so anyway.
Fun can be had off-road. Full moon in Gemini is going to be the next lunations coming up after this new moon in Sagittarius. And I am just looking, it is going to be conjunct a retrograde Mars. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
and guess what, Donna? That moon's going to be out of bounds too.
oh gosh, well just have another planet. This full moon in Gemini is it's going to be conjunct Mars, the retrograde Mars. So
Yeah.
it would not, I
Oh,
wouldn't put a
okay.
whole lot of energy and things that need to happen with this full moon. If you have a project that's ending, I would try to have it end like maybe 30 days from now. 30
Yeah.
days from then, 30 days from December 7th. Yeah, you just unless you know, different energy with the drive is something that you need to make whatever project you're working on work.
Interesting. Yeah, because I mean, Mercury will be in Capricorn, and it won't be able to see that full moon, so it won't be able to assist it. Plus, it's out of bounds. So, yeah, this could be a bit of a wonky kind of, might be a bit argy-bargy, as we would say down here. It could be a bit contentious. So, yeah, could be a lot of things coming to a head, maybe frustrations. Yeah, it will be interesting for sure.
It'll be hitting the mutable signs, which is
Yeah.
nice. It's nice if you have a lot of fixed signs, which I do. It's just changing the energy is going from fixed to more mutable. So that's what this is signifying.
Yeah, yeah. It will be interesting, that's for sure. Well, and where can people find you, Donna?
People can find me for natal readings, electional readings, horary readings, or crystal therapy sessions at Donna B Astrology at the bottom of my name right there. And where can people find you?
I'm at Scullywag Astrology. That's astrology.scullywag.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and not on Twitter so much these days. Yeah, Pinterest. And I offer relationship readings, natal readings, and year ahead looks. Look at it, the year ahead. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, it's a interesting, very mercurial fortnight we've got coming up. So it will be interesting.
It doesn't have a lot of dignity, yeah.
So thank you for listening, and yeah, please like, share, and comment. We love to read your comments. And yeah.
Subscribe.
And subscribe. Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.